came to the diocese in 2001, and it was because of the increased immigrants coming to the Columbus area. And opportunities just were made available to me. I have a master's in Latin American Studies, and it led to working with both Peace Corps as a staff person and also with Catholic Relief Services in development. It's over 20 years that I've worked in 6 different countries, in Peru and Bolivia, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Jamaica. So I am bilingual for the countries in Latin America, but spoke English, of course, in Jamaica. In Spanish, the custom is, or the saying is, la hora anda, which means like the time walks. And in here in the States, you say, the hour is running, you say it's running. But we're just a difference, even the way we express time is running out, where in Latin America it's still walking.
But between my husband and I, we own 3 corporations, and they're all laser crazes. So they each one is set up as a separate corporation. So I interact with those 3 different stores every day, basically. We were originally in Cincinnati, and after in 2004 we opened our first store there. So that's what we started off there. So we had 2 stores there in the Cincinnati area, and then my son Adam was in school at OSU and kept saying, "OSU, Columbus is a great place. You need to come this way. We need a laser craze here." That's how we got here.
Yeah, I have the opportunity to oversee sorority and fraternity life. So what that actually means is my job, my day-to-day job, is to work with all 68 of our chapters, to work with our chapter advisors, our presidents, as well as oversee the Standards of Excellence program. My path to Ohio State is a little bit windy in the sense that when I graduated from undergrad, I really was going under the direction of becoming a teacher. So I kind of got sidetracked in my assistantship in educational leadership and curriculum development, becoming a hall director. And I loved it so much at Miami that when I graduated from that program, I stayed for an additional 3 years working in academic advising and residence life. I loved that position. I loved the passion that students had and being able to assist them with their journey through college. When I graduated, after the 3 years after I had graduated, I thought, well, I haven't really tried this teaching degree out. Let me see how this works. So I actually worked in inner city charter schools in Dayton and Columbus for 3 years as well, and I really enjoyed that, but I wasn't as stimulated about the specific subject matter, and I really missed college students. So I went back to school again to get a master's in higher ed. So not only did I know about working with college students, but understanding the why and how to best serve them.
I find that trying to prepare a presentation so that I'm respectful of the audience and yet deliver the message that maybe there needs to be a change, how to do it in a way that would open up hearts and minds. One experience that I had was I was on a panel to give a presentation to mayors from small towns and rural towns, and that was in Toledo a few years ago. And after I gave my presentation, one of the mayors stood up and he said, well, and this was on immigration, and he said, I disagree with about 80% of what you said. And I said, well, but at least you agreed with 20%, so I didn't lose you in the way. I really appreciated his honesty, and I was glad that he said what he said, and that he has a right to his opinion. But I hope that the presentation at least would cause him to think a little bit and reconsider some of the myths that there are about immigrants, that they don't pay taxes, that they come here to take social services from the people, or that they send all their money home. And we have a whole list, which I do give to prove, or resources and research that debunks those myths. But in Honduras, I went to the grocery store to buy groceries, and I was at the checkout counter, and a man came up and he started taking my packages. I said, sir, where are you going with my things? And he said, well, didn't I bring you in? No. So we looked around in the store, and there was another American who did not look like me at all. But it made me realize how sometimes people say, all Latinos look alike. I laughed at it, but it was a good lesson to learn.
My mother just passed away last year, so it's been almost a year, and she dealt with cancer. She had lymphoma, and she literally was in the James, in and out, the James Cancer Hospital for the past 2 years. And so my role for her became a caretaker for my mother. And through the process, it was very challenging and difficult for me to, manage everything, and then losing your best friend and someone that you're really, really close to. She was my, matron of honor in my wedding. That's how close we were. That day-to-day opportunity to be able to care for her, she lived with me, was something that was a really challenging moment for me in my life. It's still difficult to this day. But as I reflect on it, I feel so blessed and fortunate that I had the opportunity and the privilege to be able to give back to somebody who gave so much to me. I really attribute a lot of the things that I'm able to accomplish today, or what the type of woman that I've become, to my mother. And so, what a beautiful thing that you're able to give to someone who's given so much to you.
I have 4 children, and my family is real important to me. And so we spend a lot of time together. We travel, we play, that's what's important to me. And I had always had jobs where I left my kids at home, I went to work, and then I worked on the weekends, different things, and it was just kind of impacting my family time. And I basically, I had a project at the last place that I worked at, and I put so much passion into the project, and I'd done great research on it, and I made my recommendation, and they kind of forgot that I was working on it. They said, oh, we're not going to do that project right now. So it was like all this work and heart that I put into this, and it just kind of went away. And I went home, and I got up the next morning, and I told my husband, I'm giving my 2-week notice. So I gave my notice, and about 15 months later, we opened the first laser craze. Really, the first person that I ever had as a kind of someone to help guide me was my ex-mother-in-law, which is really funny. But she was a very strong woman, and she'd grown up in Arkansas, but she was very oriented to progressing women and to doing things, and she was great to me. And she really, I think it was because of her that I really said, yes, I can do all this stuff.
And I have a very good friend. She's a religious sister from Canada, actually, and I always called her my sister friend. And we lived in Peru. Excellent, very intelligent, very wise. Kind of led me and guided me in some of the things that I did. But I think the sisterhood of knowing that women together, because we have a sense of compassion and understanding, and I think kind of like an innate with justice for one and justice for all. I think that it's a great motivator.
Well, I think about my undergraduate days with a woman by the name of Kimberly Blue, who served as my advisor when I worked with the student organization to help students of color come to Miami. And I really knew that I wanted to do some leadership positions, but didn't really know that I was capable. So as soon as I was able to serve as the coordinator for the program, she really advised me and inspired me. And as a woman of color at a predominantly white institution, sometimes I would second guess myself. Is this something that I can really do? Do I really have what it takes? And it was really nice to always work with her, because under her tutelage, I was able to start to see that, I was actually capable of doing this, and I could set the pace for other students, and I could serve and support the university initiatives, even though I didn't always see my place in the university.
But I remember also one case of a woman when I was in Latin America, in Peru. She came to a group that I was using, and she had only finished 2nd grade. But she expressed herself really well, had many, many ideas. And I encouraged her to go back and finish her school. She had 5 children. She finished elementary school. She finished high school by going in the evening. She finished normal school, as it's called, teacher training. And she set up in her house a little preschool and became a lead teacher where the normal school students would come to observe her. Now, this is in a little barrio. At one
the worst story ever is Jake was getting off the kindergarten bus, and he had just started kindergarten when we were opening our first store, and we were having our inspection to open, and I looked at my watch and said, oh no, Jake's getting off the bus. So you're gonna have talking about failures, maybe that was my biggest failure, not being Jake off the bus, and they took him to the bus depot and we had to go get him. Things are gonna happen, but you know, Jake's fine.
I would say for women to listen to their voice. I think internally our gut tells us to do something, or we have this instinct to do something, but we typically won't do it because we're concerned about what other people think. And so I think sometimes for women it's following our voice and listening to what we think. I think sometimes as women we just need to go out on faith and just kind of take a leap and be willing to take a risk and know that we're going to make mistakes, but be okay with those mistakes and to kind of embrace those as learning moments. And I think sometimes as women we're so particular about doing everything perfectly and being perfect and living in this perfect world that's false and not reality, that I think we become part of this cyclical cycle where, you know, we want to compete in these ideas that are not even rational or realistic.
One of my favorite things or sayings is the only things you regret in life are the risks you don't take. And I kind of grabbed hold of that about 15, 20 years ago, and it's done so well for me. It's like, if I can go, what if I don't try this? You know, I'm going to be really sorry. And it's worked out great every time. So I think the thing that's helped me is just tenacity, just that sticking with it and keeping going. And you know, our first location, I had the location picked out. They had told me the ceiling height. We have to have tall ceilings for laser tag. They told me the ceiling height was adequate. They told me these different things, and I said, you know, before I sign this lease, I need you to put in the lease how high the ceilings are, because I knew that was going to be a deal breaker. Sure enough, the ceilings weren't high enough, and they said, oh no, we just can't do it. And I'm like, this is impossible. We've been at this for months. I can't believe this isn't going to work. And I made them come up with a plan. They said, we can't raise the ceiling. That won't work. The building department won't let you do that. But we could dig down. So we dug down 3 feet, and then we created this tri-level laser tag arena. And we could only dig in certain places because there was plumbing in certain places. And it just took me pushing to get it and make it happen.
If we could look to women that we have in our midst and encourage the potential, be aware of potential, and just give them that little extra, even a question, have you thought of this, or have you thought of that, and can you do it, and what can I do to help you to do it?
I have kids come in here and they're like, this is the best day I've ever had. You know, and moms, we're so glad you opened, and things like that. And it's like, that's great. That's really great. And that, I guess that's it. You know, if they didn't like it, I'd probably quit doing it. So I like, you know, we're making people happy. We're making families play together and have fun together, and that's great.
You have to run your own race. You have to be focused on what's in the best interest for you, because I think sometimes as we look to achieve a certain status or get this ultimate job that's our dream job, when we get in there we realize, like, is this what's in the best interest for me, as well as am I able to serve the constituents? And so I think sometimes if you're so busy focusing on achieving the next thing, you don't have opportunities to reflect on, is this making me happy? Because not only are you happy in your work life, but does this provide you with the balance outside of work? I think sometimes as women we have to negotiate what our role is with our own families and what our responsibilities are in there. And so how can that work-life balance help you to achieve the goals that you want to have personally and professionally?
You know, I just don't let the fact that you're a woman stop